Donc, je suis ravie de présider cette conférence de presse sur la situation au Soudan à l'occasion de la venue au Parlement européen d'une délégation du Front révolutionnaire du Soudan. Je ne sais pas s'il est nécessaire de dire quelle est la situation au Soudan, qui est un des pays les plus pauvres du monde, qui est un des pays qui subit une dictature depuis maintenant près de 25 ans, dont la situation s'est aggravée après la partition pour des raisons de propriété des puits de pétrole, peut-être, je peux le dire comme ça, que depuis les soulèvements en Tunisie et en Égypte notamment, il y a eu quelques mouvements un peu sporadiques au Soudan à partir de 2011, mais qu'il y a surtout eu, à la suite des décisions d'Omar el-Béchir pour essayer de compenser les pertes pétrolières, un énorme soulèvement au mois de septembre, que ce soulèvement a été réprimé avec une rare violence, que nous avons en début octobre, lors de l'avant-dernière session du Parlement européen ici à Strasbourg, voté une résolution sur la situation au Soudan qui dénonce cette situation, et que malgré malgré un certain nombre de prises de position, y compris internationales, le moins qu'on puisse dire, c'est que la situation ne s'arrange pas, et même qu'elle empire au Soudan. C'est pour ça que, pour ce qui me concerne, c'est avec beaucoup d'intérêt que je suis la constitution de ce front révolutionnaire au Soudan, qui regroupe un large spectre politique, régional, religieux, de la diversité du Soudan, qu'ils sont depuis une quinzaine de jours en Europe pour présenter leur projet alternatif, je dirais, et que le mieux que je puisse faire, c'est de leur donner la parole, en commençant par mon voisin immédiat, Malik Aggar. C'est pas vous qui commencez? You don't begin? You're not the first? Yeah. You're the president and you are not the first to speak. No? As you want, hein? Okay. Donc, je passe la parole à mon voisin immédiat, Malik Aggar, qui est donc le président du Front soudanais révolutionnaire, que je suis ravie d'accueillir ici, dans cette maison.
Well, thank you, Madame Maria Christine, and I also thank the members of the press who are available here. This is a rare opportunity for rebels movement to come to a gigantic parliament as such as the EU. And our being here, it is very important, and we view it as an historic opportunity for us to raise our concerns, and not only for the AU, but to AU and the members of the European community and the members of the international community at large. This is a high delegation composed of the heads of the organizations, political organizations and armed movement that are fighting in Sudan. And this coalition is a political coalition. Its objectives of ending the war in Sudan. So we came to Europe with three main messages. And these 3 main messages are built on de facto situations on the ground in the Sudan. Our message number 1 is that there is a disastrous humanitarian situation in Sudan due to the war and due to the the brutal conduct of the fighting on the ground and the brutal repression of the government of the Sudan to censorship of anything in Sudan. The second is the need to adopt a holistic approach how to end the war in Sudan and how to stop the war in Sudan, or the other way around, how to stop the war and how to end the war in Sudan. So these are main messages, plus the deteriorating human rights abuses in the country in Sudan. As you all know, Sudan, as one of the East African countries, has been fighting unto itself for the last 50 years, since the independence of this country from the colonial power, the British. Even 3 months earlier than the colonial powers' departure. Why then Sudan fighting unto itself? There must be a crucial problem that leads to fighting in Sudan. Sudan, to start with, is a diverse country, is part of the Nile Valley of civilization, is a diverse country in terms of ethnicity, in terms of linguistically, culturally, and religiously diverse. This diversity, all the regimes in Khartoum, the special regime in Khartoum, failed to administer this diversity. First of all, in terms of identity, Sudan has been proclaimed by the ruling regimes in Khartoum as Arab Islamic State, full stop. Whereby you have non-Arabs there, whereby you have non-Muslim there. So by so doing, and also the third element is concentrating the economical power in one center by so neglecting the other areas of Sudan, which they term themselves at the end of the day marginalized areas in anything. Marginalized culturally, marginalized politically, marginalized in terms of wealth and power sharing. So such a country as such really is pregnant of problems. And the problems that were delivered by this pregnancy is the civil war that lasted for the last 60 years. With many attempts in the middle to rectify this one, so many agreements were done. And these agreements could not solve the problem of Sudan because they were done in pieces, not to address the problem of Sudan collectively as it's supposed to be comprehensively addressed. So you have the famous one is CPA 2005, and as we are sitting all of here, 6 movements here with 6 leaderships, we are all a living testimony to so many agreements in Sudan, dishonored or not implemented in a good faith. So the Sudan is a story of war, agreement, dishonored, non-implemented, war. So that's a vicious circle, a famous vicious circle of Sudan. So really, this was breeding humanitarian catastrophe. For the last 10 years, if you were aware, Darfur situation is precarious, is disastrous, whereby 3 million in Darfur are either displaced internally or refugees in the neighboring countries. They are not attended to. Even the few humanitarian organizations, international organizations, which were there, they were expelled in 2009, 2010. 13 of these organizations are being expelled from the area, rendering a very big gap that has not been up to now filled by the system. So this is creating more disastrous and catastrophe to the people. Of recently, 2011, the war erupted due to the unimplementation of the peace agreement, the CPA in the two areas, that is Blue Nile and Nuba Mountains, is also, created a huge influx of refugees and people who are internally displaced. These displaced, they are denied access by the regime in Khartoum, by the President Bashir, who was indicted, and adding salt to injury, he has also denied access for these people to be reached by the international NGOs. Adding to that, the story of the day, the story in the town, that is, there is an aerial bombardment continuously to these people, not necessarily that are the combatant, but using the relief and the food as a weapon to break the will of the fighters by destabilizing the communities or the constituencies that they come from in the two areas and Darfur. This is a war crime by, this is a war crime by itself. So these three issues need to be resolved. One, we need the EU plus others to put pressures on Khartoum to open access to ease this humanitarian situation. Two, we need the EU plus others also to contribute in resolving the problem of Sudan comprehensively in the Sudan, not piecemeal agreements. The third thing, there is a humanitarian, the human issues, the human rights abuses in Sudan. There used to be a special rapporteur for human rights in Sudan. That is not there. We would actually still demand such a personality to be there to report the issues in Sudan. So these are the three main issues that we have been touring Europe and telling the people in Europe and the AU. So I will stop here and allow time for my colleagues who are here to add whatever I have not been able to contribute. Thank you.
Lequel des deux, Monsieur Nour, Monsieur Minawi?
Okay, thank you very much. Also, I would like to add my words to my chairman. We are very honored here in EU Parliament, and also we are very happy that, especially in this time, we are visiting Europe for necessity of the Europe, as the European Union, as organization, international or regional organization, and the different countries in Europe as important in internationally the value of our stressing and repeating the one very remarkable problem in Sudan, which is the suppressive government and also racist government ruling the country for 24 years up to now, committed the genocide and divided the country into two, and many things has been happening since they came and occupied the or they came by the coup d'etat. What is I want to ensure here, and it's most important thing I want to ensure here, with no doubt, General Omar al-Bashir is racist, and with no doubt, General Omar al-Bashir committed genocide in Darfur, and this genocide extending to the Nuba Mountains and Blue Nile. I want to mention that one day General Bashir, when his security agents reported from Darfur what is going on in Darfur, it is true there's rape in Darfur. What he reacted, he said, if some of the Darfur woman or lady raped by Jali, unfortunately, I want to I want to clarify that what is meaning of Jali in Darfur, in Sudan. The Jali means we are we are Sudanese, multi-tribes, multi-ethnic groups. Jali is the tribes that Omar al-Bashir belong to. He said, if one of the Darfur's ladies raped by Jali, that is must be honored to her. This is what Omar Bashir said publicly, please. And that is why it's no need to clarify more, because he committed genocide, and ICC proved that this is genocide, or what was happened was genocide. And also right now, more than 4,000 or 4 million people displaced in 3 areas, Darfur and Blue Nile and Nuba Mountains. Even in these regions, the people living in the main areas, in main cities also, they are living in very catastrophic situation, which is need the humanitarian access, which is need freedoms, which is need monitoring from the international human rights monitors or human rights advocacies. And this is very critical situation right now Sudan is living. On this occasion, in these occasions, we are here to repeat what been said in 50 years ago, which is very difficult that we are going to repeat and repeat, but still the government of Sudan, it has many embassies and diplomatic relations with the EU and UN and different parts of the international community, and still they are committing genocide, and the genocide is continuing. Thank you very much.
Je suis désolée de vous mettre la pression permanente, mais ici au Parlement européen, nous sommes habitués à être vraiment sur un temps très concentré. Quand nous prenons la parole en plénière, en général, nous avons 1 minute de temps de parole pour exprimer notre position. Donc là, vous avez un temps royal de 30 minutes. Malheureusement, je crains qu'il n'y ait pas de temps pour les questions des journalistes et je m'en excuse d'ores et déjà à l'avance. Monsieur Nour, à vous. Dans 5 minutes, nous devons libérer la salle. Je suis vraiment désolée.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kirstein, for giving us this opportunity, and without her, we will not be able to address. I will be precise very shortly, as soon as possible. I would like to say that we are here first to appeal European Union to stop ongoing genocide in Darfur, in Nuba Mountain, in Blue Nile. And for this cause, we are here to call European Union Parliament to adopt international conference for security and humanitarian affairs in Sudan. Second, also, we would like to say that to appeal European Union Parliament that pieces of peace will never bring peace in Sudan, and here we are focusing and calling for a comprehensive approach or holistic approach of peace. Third thing is that any peace should end in a change. Sudan is like any country. There the dictatorship commit genocide will never be reformed. Like Hitler, like Slobodan Milosevic, this regime has to be changed, not to reconcile. In the end of what I call also, we want European Union to pressure for ICC to arrest al-Bashir and those who commit genocide, and to help our people that at least to feel in hope that those who commit genocide, they will face justice in the end. One last thing is that we want European Union Parliament to help us as any nation to have a freedom, and our vision as SRF is to create a country based on religion should be separate from the state, liberal state federal state, democratic state, based on equal citizenship right and freedom. Thank you.
Ben voilà, il nous reste 3 minutes pour des questions. Vous avez des questions à poser à nos invités. Umma et Christine Verger, naturellement. Je vous en prie.
Well, gentlemen, you mentioned or underlined the need for a holistic approach. As a Sudan people, you actually achieved a kind of unity with this kind of coalition. But what about international community? It seems that it speaks with so many different languages that actually it's a kind of too optimistic to expect something from the international community in this case.
Indeed, you are right. There are so many forums for negotiations in the Sudan, but we are putting a sample that Sudan problem can be solved holistically. This is why you find us together as one movement now, and we are dialoguing with other Sudanese movements. We have another 39 political parties and trade unions with us. So there is 2 blocks in Sudan now, are this one, and the issue of the holistic approach is now gaining ground, even in the international community, not because we want it, but because that is a reality, and that is what is supposed to happen in Sudan. Thank you.
Vas-y.
Oui, monsieur le Mali, presse du Kurdistan. En fait, au moment où il y avait cette massacre de al-Bashir, justement le Parlement européen, oui, Bachar, donc le Parlement européen a pris une position. Est-ce que les messages, ils ont été néanmoins clairs? Qu'est-ce qu'il fallait faire pour aller dans le sens de vos propositions? Donc, qu'est-ce qu'il manquait, en fait? Qu'est-ce qui bloque au niveau international cet processus? On sait qu'en fait, moi, je viens de Kurdistan, de Turquie. Pour notre gouvernement, en fait, M. Erdogan, donc M. al-Bashir, c'est son frère. Donc, voilà, donc il a dit, prononcé. Hein, donc, cela dit, comment faire valoir qu'il y a un dictateur sanguinaire là-bas et que sinon l'avenir est jour à jour insupportable pour les peuples du Soudan. Merci.
Thank you once again. What is wrong is always wrong. The question you ask us, what is blocking the international community, is that exactly why we are here, so that we ask them, what is blocking you? Because there is a reality, there is a dictatorship in Khartoum, there is a genocide in Sudan, there is human rights abuses in Khartoum, but the international community is only issuing condemnations here and there, and also they issued an arrest warrant for the President of Sudan, but they were lacking the necessary tools to implement their own resolutions, and also the ICC is lacking the necessary tools to implement and reinforce their decisions. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
En tout cas, on doit terminer ici notre briefing parce que les invités pour la prochaine conférence de presse sont déjà là. Merci à tous d'avoir participé.
Thank you.